Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Talks with Ro. They say you can't turn your phone while live. Okay, well, y'all let me turn my phone at other times while I'm live. What they talking about? Let me see. I'm gonna put this here. Is this better? All right, let's try to go for that. I happen to be out and about this morning on the roads in California, and we haven't even started like the crazy morning traffic, so this should be interesting. I'm gonna find a really cool place for me to pull over and get some good reception, because I like to do my stuff out in the streets, you know, looking at nature. I also have pretty bad reception in the house, so I've just gotten used to doing it this way. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Morning Talks with Ro. Did you catch the name of the video this morning? Did you catch it? The Art of Delayed Gratification. We're going to talk about it today. So I'm going to find a really cool place for me to just kind of pause, look at you, kind of, and see what I come up with in today's talk. As per normal, I spent a pretty good amount of time yesterday doing some research on this subject matter, because I wanted to be clear in how I was able to bring you some points. I think I might have found a cool place to pull over. I wanted to be clear in you know, how I might be able to bring you some of these points. Good morning, you guys. Okay, so I took a ton of notes, y'all. Like, I didn't even get a chance to look over the notes because I took so many, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I wrote so much stuff down. I hope that I remember. So I'm going to trust right now the process of this conversation. I'm going to trust that whatever you guys need to hear this morning, whatever's going to be the most beneficial for you to hear this morning is going to come out of me, because I choose to be an open conduit of clarity on this subject matter this morning, because it's so important. The art of delayed gratification. So, let me see what everybody's saying before I jump in here. Oh, Chantiel says he knows it all too well. I know you do, brother. Matter of fact, congratulations. I'm going to shout somebody out that's in the room this morning, in the virtual room this morning. Chantiel, perfect example of delayed gratification, has been working on getting his truck for delivery. And this is a big mamma jamma. I'm not talking about, you know, your average four-wheel, what do you call that, the pickup truck. We're talking about one of those 18-wheeler cabins that you see out on the road and you take across the country. This brother took the time to put together a plan, and he saw the future, and he took steps until he got there. And that's one of the first things I want to talk about this morning, is starting small. A lot of us get this big grand picture, and then we don't know how we're going to get there. It can be so overwhelming. And before you know it, because you're thinking about all the things you think you need to do in order to get it done, you end up shutting yourself down before you can even take your first step. So start small. What is the first small step that each of you can do that are in this room that have a goal? Who has a goal in here? What is the first small step that you can do, that you can take, that will point you in the direction of your goal or your dream? And then can you take a small step, that same small step if you need persistence, or the next small step until you get there? If you notice, I always hashtag chip away, because for me, mentally, that's like a great way as a reminder, not only to me, to the students, to anybody who follows what I do and teach, that chipping away gets you there. Even if it takes a little bit longer, it gets you there. And that is also part of the art of delayed gratification, because you're not going to see the results immediately. We live in this microwave culture. Everything's instant gratification. The kids are coming up so dang on fast that they don't even get, you know, having to wait for something, and how good that feels when you finally accomplish it, because we're so used to getting things so dang on quickly. You know, and then when they don't get it quickly, they're wondering what's wrong, because they haven't been taught about something like the art of delayed gratification. I remember when we used to write papers back in the day. Look, I'm starting to sound like one of them older people, right? But I am, okay? And now I'm more mature. We had to go to the library, or my parents had to order what they call those encyclopedia. Remember they used to advertise encyclopedias on TV? And then you had to learn how to look through them mamma jammas, and you had to figure out how to decipher the information. You had to go to the right place. You had to look stuff up. You had to dig for stuff. You had to earn a paper. You know what I'm saying? Now you can Google something. Matter of fact, you can just take it right off the computer. You can plagiarize easy. And because that's so easily done, if nobody's checking that behavior early on, you don't know that you're setting yourself up for failure in the future, because you have no concept of waiting for anything to get accomplished, of digging for something, of working hard, of developing the habit necessary to maintain what you're asking for. Because if you get it too soon, you ever got something too soon? I've definitely gotten something too soon, and then when I got it, didn't know how to maintain it because I didn't have the habits, I didn't have the disciplines, I didn't have the mindset in place to maintain it. Let me see what you guys are saying. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm checking out what you're saying to me. Chipping away means progress. You doggone right, baby. Delayed does not mean denied. That's right. Kids got it so easy now. You know what's interesting is people, and you're right, Tiffany, they do have it easy. But I venture to say they have it easy and it's at a deficit. They don't know that it's working against them, what they're developing. And us as adults, we're starting to adapt to the culture as well. I mean, it's natural. You know, we're in this culture. You start to get conditioned by it. And then we start looking for stuff fast. We forget that our parents, our ancestors, they worked for stuff. We had to put our feet in the mud. We had to put our hands in the earth. You know what I mean? To get things done. I thank God that I came from some thoroughbred parents because they worked hard for a lot of stuff. And so it instilled in me early on to work for stuff. You know what I mean? But then I have to be careful in my now years, latter years, more mature years, not to get so conditioned by the culture that's happening today that I forget that it's important to work for stuff. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what else you guys are saying. Okay. What's up, Anthony? Chi-Town is in the building. Hey, everybody. Okay, so what else did I put here? Persist. That's another piece of the puzzle to delayed gratification. Persistence produces faith, and faith produces persistence. We need both of these things on board in order to truly see what we're looking for. Wow. I mean, my career, I could say the same thing. That would, thank God, you know, I just had something, I was passionate about, that it made me persist. Thank God I didn't have enough doubt planted in me early enough that I had faith. But when we do get doubt planted in us early, how do we counter that? We counter it with persistence. We counter it with wearing something down. We counter it with affirmations. We counter it with reprogramming, reconditioning ourselves in order to have it. What are you guys saying? My goodness. Yes, stay grounded. So persistence, what did I say? Use your affirmations to stay on point. Yes, to make you take action. What else did I say? Decide to always get back on the horse. Close the time gap. When you fall off the horse, get back on quickly as you can. We all fall off. It happens. You know what I mean? It's a human thing to do. But, and let me go back to that, because that's why I made that look a few seconds ago when I was like, ooh, passion. How many of you are passionate? Not just did you find a passion, because that's important as well, but how many of you are just passionate about life? How many of you are willing to be vulnerable enough to desire something so much that you go after it until you get it? How many of you are willing to look a little crazy to people to go after something enough? How many of you are willing to ask in public for what you want? That is so important. So many of us are so afraid of being hurt. So many of us are so afraid of being rejected. So many of us are so afraid of looking stupid that we don't allow ourselves to live passionately. And so by not allowing yourself to live passionately, you don't drum up enough persistence. You don't drum up enough faith to take the necessary steps and keep taking those steps until you see results. How many of you out there are living passionately? Are you afraid to live passionately? Are you afraid to live with vulnerability? Because that could be in the way of you achieving success. Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning. So do you guys have any questions of me right now before I move into some more of the keys to learning the art of delayed gratification? Good morning. Welcome to Morning Talks with Rose. Start your week right, baby. Has anybody said anything that I'm missing? Persistence produces faith and faith. That's right. Repeat, repeat. Okay. Let's see. Don't believe the naysayers. Work harder than you ever worked. Stay out of your comfort zone. Woo-hoo. Yes, Chantiel. So many of us want to be comfortable while we achieve these goals. That's not going to work. If you are committed to your comfort more than you're committed to getting your goal, it just ain't going to work. Because a lot of the times, in order for you to operate at a higher level or the next level of what you're capable of, it's got to push you out of what you're comfortable with, what you're familiar with. Right? It kind of makes sense. If you're going to a new level of self-expression, if you're going to the next level of what you can achieve or what you're capable of, you've got to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. That's just par for the course. I'm letting you know that right now. In everything that I've done, I have had to step outside of my comfort zone if I went to the next level. Period. End of sentence. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Okay. You know, did you guys get a morning drink? Am I on fire? I feel like I'm like, woo. I said my incantation before I got on the camera. So I put myself in what you would call a peak state. I am operating at a 9, 10. I'm operating at a 10 right now. But that's because I specifically put myself in a peak state by saying something called an incantation. An incantation is like stringing a lot of affirmations behind each other, and it becomes your personal manifesto. So you have I am in front of that sentence, and it's like I am this, I am that, I am operating in this way. It is your personal manifesto. Come up with something powerful for yourself that you can say every day or every time you're getting ready to engage in something that's calling forth the best of you, so that you can put yourself in what they call a peak state and operate from that place, speak from that place, think from that place, do from that place. Woo! Takes practice, takes conditioning. It takes the persistence we're talking about to be willing to put this habit in place so that you can use it as a tool in your life. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but I would say that it is more than worth it. Okay, Christine has some hot tea on deck. Fear holds us back from growth. Say it. Not to be deep, but for me, I have to constantly go back to asking myself, what does God say I am? You have to be able to see beyond what's in front of you and hear beyond what's being spoken. Speak on it, Charles. Nice. Okay. All of that stuff, very true. Very true. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They dropped in my box and they were asking me why they felt so depressed. And it was a young person, about 18 years old. And they were having suicidal thoughts, but they were feeling more like, why am I feeling so depressed? I said, who are you comparing yourself to? What are you comparing your life to? And then whose approval are you seeking? That was one of the things we talked about. And that speaks to what Charles was just saying to me in a way that, when we look for other people to believe in our dreams before they manifest, or if we look for other people to validate us as we're moving along this path and we don't get it, be careful. Be careful. Because they can't see your vision like you can see your vision. They weren't intended. It's not their vision, right? So we have to believe in ourselves enough. We have to push ourselves enough to go after what we desire, to see if we can have what we want to have. And if you're having difficulty getting that engine started, this is where that incantation I was just talking about can be of use. Coming up with affirmations. We have to reprogram the mental chatter that's going on in our mind that tells us we're not enough, that tells us that we don't measure up, that tells us that we don't compare to what we see in front of us. Whatever those things are that are defeating you in your thinking process, we got to reprogram ourselves for success. This is where Personal Power University, the online university that I have, this is one of the centerpieces of my university, is helping us to reprogram ourselves out of limiting beliefs so that we have the confidence to be bold enough to take a step towards what we really want for ourselves. Because there's plenty of stuff out there. There's plenty people. There's plenty advertisements telling us we're not enough, telling us that we can't really have it, telling us that we don't really have the right plan. I mean, come on. We can think of so many things that people say or that outside influences try to tell us about ourselves or our journey or our lack thereof that just stops us from taking action. Morning Talks with Ro is hopefully here to help support you in taking bold action towards actually having the life you want to live and enjoying the process as best you can, trusting the process as best you can, learning along the way, picking up these tools that you learn along the way and letting them continue to redefine you into a greater version of yourself gosh, be comfortable right where you are with who you are, because each of us is unique. Take us out of the comparison game, right? Let's see what you guys are saying. Tap into it. That is the journey of life and discovery. Yes. So true. Never give up on your destiny. Amen. We have to get out of fan fiction circles. Quit being a fan of someone else's life. Woo! And start tailoring your existence according to your purpose. Speak on it, Mr. Jackson, if you're nasty. Good morning, my friend. Speaking really good. All right, Carlos, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to the conversation, everybody. This is Morning Talks with Ro. I endeavor to put together something where I will be able to connect with you guys weekly to just help you start your week right, hopefully, and give you some support with taking bold steps in life, in really living the life you want to live, not being afraid to be passionate enough, to be vulnerable enough to go after what you really desire. Right? Good morning. Okay, so let's dive back into some more tools. Act fast, answer immediately, handle things now. Okay, so this is another way that we can be successful and not fall off the wagon for too long or not fall off for good. Act fast. When somebody's asking you to do something, instead of putting it off, do it now. Do it now. Make the phone call now. Text them back now. You don't always have to do this. This is your time. But if you want to make sure that you start becoming diligent and you start developing the muscle of diligence, developing the muscle of tenacity, developing the muscle of taking action, do things now. Act now. It is the trait of champions. Acting now. Let's see what else I wrote down. I told y'all I wrote like so many. Okay. Set up rewards for yourself. So huge. Okay, this is where going after your goals can get fun to me. This is where going after your goals actually is worth it. This is where being disciplined in life can actually pay off and give you more opportunities to celebrate in life, to celebrate yourself, to celebrate your accomplishments. Think about celebration. Celebration is synonymous with joy. You can bring more joy into your life through discipline. Right? Like discipline definitely can sound like a daunting task. Because a lot of times we have to force ourselves to do something we don't want to do, especially when we're developing the habit first off. That's why it's very important to be passionate about what you are doing. That's why it's very important to love what you do, because when the moments get tough, and they always do, there's something that challenges you. You want to love or like so much enough what you're doing that it pushes you to take the action that you may not feel like taking in the moment. I.e., working out. You got a weight goal, or you just want to keep yourself disciplined mentally, so it works when you do that with yourself physically. Either like it enough or understand that it's why it's so important that you take the action that you do, whatever you need to do. Okay? But set up rewards for yourself. Because by setting up rewards for yourself, it's going to make you want to keep taking action. It's going to make you want to keep doing it. Because think about it, that's how we kind of learned how to engage life early on. Our parents gave us rewards for the good things that we did. And for whatever reason, as we become adults, we get away from that. We get so serious about life that we forget to reward ourselves. And part of that is a trigger to keeping us moving forward. Like we've already been conditioned with that tool. We've already been conditioned with that trigger. So go ahead and unearth that trigger for yourself again and reward yourself for the steps that you take and how consistent you are. Right? What can you do for yourself that will bring you joy? And hopefully that won't work against your progress. right? You don't want to be working on a weight goal and then you go back and eat a whole or half of a cake. But what else can you do? Or will it be just a piece of that cake? You know what I mean? Think about those things and those rewards that you can set up along the way for yourself that push you to keep taking action. Can be a very rewarding life that way. Let's see what else everybody's talking about. Okay. I'm so glad that you get value from the talks, Patrick. Okay. All right, Charles. Have a great day at work. Thank you for adding to the conversation. Okay. Hey, Avis. Shout out to you. I know you're talking about the workout because that lady is the bomb. Hello. Working out, personal trainer. Okay, so let's see. Discipline right there can be fun. Look at all of the celebrating you get to do. That's exactly what I was just talking about, just going back to my notes. I mean, I know that discipline is on the other side of pushing yourself, but if you reward yourself for pushing yourself, it becomes a very rewarding life. Bam. Okay. What else is there? Love the process. Love what you do. We talked about that. All right. We're talking about delayed gratification this morning. What are you saying? Wow. Wow. I needed to hear this. Thank you. I'm going to have to tune in more often, girl. You sound like a preacher or something. Ha! I'm going to get you a mic. Hey, now. Thank you for tuning in, Carlos. Thank you for the feedback. Okay. So, let's see. It is a skill that we are developing when we talk about delayed gratification. So I just brought up, physical fitness, being consistent about that, because we know that our long-term results are worth it. How many of you have the vision for what your long-term result is or can be, and are you motivated by it? Are you motivated by the vision in your mind? How many of you don't have a vision? That is so huge. To have a vision is so big. If you don't have what is the saying that with the people without vision perish? If you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going. What's going to push you to do what you need to do? What's going to push you in those times when you don't want to force yourself to do what you need to do? Your vision has got to be so juicy. It's got to look so good that you feel like whatever you have to go through to get to it is worth it. So if you don't have a strong enough vision, I highly encourage you and recommend that today, after this video goes off, that you dedicate some time to yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. Pull out a piece of paper and just start writing down with abandon. Take the mental naysayer out. Take your censor away. Tell them, look, you get to talk later. But for right now, I'm giving myself a chance to just desire. To just want something. To just believe that just for a little moment, if you've been having a hard time believing it, that I can have it. What does it look like? What does it look like? How would you feel when you have it? How do you think you would feel when you have it? Can you get into the feeling of that? Can you visualize for a second? Can you just sit with your vision and feel what it would feel like to have it? Because that, I noticed for my own self in manifesting a lot of the goals that I have in my life, that has been such a huge part of it. I saw it and I did my best to feel it first. I did my best to speak about it, to fantasize with myself about it, to talk to others that I knew supported me in my dreams, that could hold a fortress, hold the space for me to desire on the level that I desire to have it. Find other champions that you resonate with. It's what we do at PPU, Personal Power University, developing a community of people who are of similar mind, who are of similar, they want more for their lives. And so they're there and supporting each other on a whole other level. Create a great support system around you. And if you don't have the people to do it, find them on YouTube. Go to, find some masterminds. Go to some community gatherings where other champions gather. Go to seminars where other champions gather. They want more out of life. Put yourself in environments that are thriving in that way so that you can be motivated and inspired to keep taking action. Yeah? What else are you guys saying? Not so much, Christine. That makes me smile, though. Okay, Robert Cunningham. Our community has a problem waiting for what they want. That works against us spiritually, speak on it. And financially, at all levels, speak on it. We're getting there. Spiritually even. Because that even touches on the faith, right? But just spiritually. What do you, a lot of the things that we desire are manifested in the intangible, the things you can't touch, the things you don't see yet. Learning to cultivate your ability to sit in silence even is a huge skill to develop nowadays, because there's so much noise. Social media is a lot of noise. TV, noise. The frequency and vibration of the music today, a lot of that is noise. So where do you take the time to just be silent? How many of you have practiced the art of silence? How many of you are praying so much? Praying in the morning, praying all day, praying without ceasing, but you don't sit still long enough to hear the Most High trying to get your attention. A lot of us have to be reminded to sit still, because we are so being conditioned by this information age, this instant gratification culture, this now mindset. You know, text me now, this now, this now, this now. Now, it works for you if you're working on your goals, because this is for you. But if you're being pulled in every which direction from every force outside of yourself, and it's not from you, it could be a problem. How many of us are practicing the art of silence? Let's see what you guys are saying. Hey, everybody, welcome to the conversation. Hey, Monica. Okay, let's see. Martell says, don't have much to say, just listening. I'm taking in what you're saying. Oh, thank you, Martell. Okay. Hey, Carl, thank you. Wanted a house of my own. Former foster child, I did it. Yes, you did, Christine. Owning my home now was a vision. Now I need another one. Woo! Thinking, come on, baby. Yes. You already know that I'm proud of you for that. And it has been a wonderful to be connected to you, Christine. Yes, I love that you just said, thinking of another one. That's what life is about, right? We're creating purpose as we go along. A lot of us, let's speak on that real quickly. A lot of us are waiting to find out what our purpose is. And we definitely have, I think, a definite purpose that we can show up with on the planet. But also within saying that, I want to remind you all that you are capable of creating purpose. Create purpose. Because a lot of us get discouraged because you feel like, well, I don't know what my purpose is. Well, while you're figuring that out and you keep asking the Most High to reveal to you what your purpose is, create purpose for yourself. What can you do? How can you serve on a level that is larger than yourself? How can you serve others or create something that serves others, that reaches beyond your personal scope? Create some purpose. Think of the next grand thing to do. What do you want? What are you willing to allow yourself to desire? Create that. When they say that God gives you free will, that's part of it. Creating purpose, creating the next thing to do, creating the next way you want to feel, creating the next version of yourself. Wow. Okay, let's see what else you guys are saying. Hey, everybody, welcome to the conversation. You said my art of silence mostly comes when I'm in worship. Yes. Yes. And then even in those times when you aren't in worship, because the brain is turning, the brain is giving. When are you just sitting there to receive? When do we just, like this morning, I sat for 11 minutes in silence. Now, of course, the brain's like, you know what I mean? But I purposely set my intention before I go into that 11 minutes. I say, God, I'm listening for you. What do you feel would be in my best interest to know? What are you trying to get my attention with? Is there something that I need to release? Is there something that I need to allow? And then I just go silent and I start paying attention to my body so I can, try to calm my mind, just when I say paying attention to my body, bring attention to different parts of your body. So for example, you can focus on your kneecap. And then all of a sudden, if you sit there and focus on that long enough, you start to feel the energy of where your kneecap is. Don't move your body in order to become aware of it. Just think your energy there. And then you become aware of it. You could do it with your foot right now. While I'm talking, I literally feel the energy buzzing in my foot because I just put my attention on that. And do you notice how I'm talking to you like I'm consciously focusing on what it feels like to have a left foot, but in the same breath I'm speaking to you. We can do this all day long. It keeps us centered. It keeps us in the now. But when you're trying to quiet your mind a little bit just to listen to God, sometimes you may want to use your body to kind of quiet yourself and calm yourself. If you want to, listen to nature, if you know, or you know, just be. If the mind doesn't quiet, that's okay too, because you got to first get in the practice and habit of just being silent. We don't realize how much noise we sit in constantly. We don't realize how much noise we entertain on a regular basis. Wow, right? Okay, what else are you guys saying? The art of silence, one of the most important things to learn, church. Brandy Sharp came into the conversation. Welcome. First day at your second career. On break, checking out your words of wisdom. Perfectly timed. Awesome. Hey, Janelle, welcome to the conversation. Jimmy Steele says, oh my goodness. Oh, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate you. Purpose is given, like it did this past Thanksgiving, giving free food to the people who don't have. Beautiful. The silence that creates the purpose. Woo! It's silence that creates the purpose. Very, very interesting and cool distinction you just made. In the silence is where you can get those drops of inspiration to come in. But if you're always going, if there's always constant noise, if you're always listening for somebody else's advice, if you're always looking for somebody else's approval, where do you give yourself time to just receive? Yes. Okay, let's see. Bert says it's okay. Let's see. Ryan is, welcome to the conversation, Ryan. Okay, Carlos says, is there a certain time that you get on here every day and do this, or when is it? I get on every Monday at 8 a.m. PST, which is 11 a.m. EST on the East Coast. I've been trying to be consistent about this because I wanted, you know, someone was asking me, Ro, when are you going to get on? I want to be able to, you know, get on with you. So every Monday, it is my intention to come in and have morning talks with Ro with you guys. And if you have any questions of me, or you want to tackle a certain conversation or a certain subject matter, go ahead and reach out to me at askro@gmail.com and let me know what that thing is. Or if there's something that you were afraid to put in the chat today, put it in the email to me, askrho@gmail.com, and I will do my best to answer your question or respond to your comment. If you have any feedback for me, good, bad, or indifferent, I like to receive it. You know, I want to improve too. I want to be able to improve how I communicate. I want to know what people feel is effective, what you feel is not effective, so that I can keep fine-tuning how I deliver and on what level I'm able to deliver. So please reach out to me for whatever reason at askro@gmail.com. What up, everybody? Welcome to the conversation. Okay, so let me see. Somebody talking about singing, playing Right Rice. Okay. Let's see. So we're talking about developing the skill of delayed gratification. What aren't you taking the time to put off into the future so that you can receive the reward of that thing? We talked about working out and receiving the reward on the other end of delayed gratification. Maybe you don't need to eat all that right now because you know you have this bigger goal. Maybe, you know, you don't need to go out tonight with the homies. You need to be at the gym. You know, what are those things that you can do? What are those tweaks that any of you who has a goal can make that shows you the reward of delayed gratification? That reminds you that you can make the sacrifice in the now moment in order to see the great reward of that sacrifice in the very near future or the future. We don't know how long it's going to take. There's a great quote out there by a gentleman named Ernest Holmes. He says, do until you demonstrate. That means you do what you need to do. You take the actions that are necessary until you see the results that you've set out to get. Okay, so with work, what about with retirement? What about money? Woo. What about money? Are you saving? How many of you are saving 10% of your check? Just so you got something to show for the hard work you've been putting in after all these years. Just so that maybe you got a little something. And some of you may say, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, Ro. Well, guess what? When I ran into one of my most jacked up financial situations, when I couldn't even save the 10% I wanted to save, I saved 10% of 10% because I needed to develop the habit of saving. I needed to develop the habit. So even if it meant I saved 10% of 10%, at least I was developing the habit of saving. And it's just like this story that I like to remember. You know, that when a mother is out with their child, right? And the baby, let's say this child is a toddler, maybe 2 years old, and the baby sees all this yummy ice cream in the ice cream shop, and you get this cone, and the baby says, I want 3 scoops of ice cream. Now, what parent out there is going to give a 2-year-old 3 scoops piled on top of an ice cream cone? Most of us won't, because you'll feel like the baby doesn't have the motor skills yet, maybe, to handle all that ice cream. Maybe you don't want them on sugar, like cracked out like that too. But also, you may feel that they don't have the motor skills yet to handle all that ice cream. So more than likely, you might start with 1 scoop and say, when you show me that you can handle that 1 scoop, I'm going to add more. What if God operates the same way? Show me that you can handle. Show me that you're going to be a good steward over the little so that I can give you more. So delayed gratification works in this instance as well. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Okay. Hey, Joyce. Okay. You have a question. You're very behind the timeline. Is that okay? Yeah, go ahead and throw your question out there, Joyce. Does anybody else have a question of me? Does anybody else have a question of me? I mean, this is in relationships as well, delayed gratification. You know, a lot of us might expect that we're, that just, bubbled up in me. You know, I read something about soulmates last night. It was very, very interesting. And this lady said, you know, she didn't really believe in the concept of soulmates, right? And, you know, I go back and forth with that too, because I'm like, you know, love can develop into different things. But she put it in such a way, I hope I can articulate it this morning, because I wasn't expecting to talk about it. But she talked about soulmates, and she was saying how, you know, I think that relationships develop into soulmate status. And I said, now that's speaking more to my concept. I'm not saying that you can't run into somebody and have that love at first sight feeling, but a lot of the times it's an infatuation. You know, there's this connection, there's this energy. But in order for you to really develop into and sometimes, you know, you run into that person you can bare your soul to in the beginning. Yes, soulmate. But there are also times where you may develop into that relationship. You may have to go through some stuff to get to that level of intimacy. You may have to go through some stuff to get to that level of bearing your soul and understanding and appreciating and supporting someone in their vulnerability. And that comes from delayed gratification, not wanting everything that you think you should know about the person right now. You know what I mean? Taking the time to build memories, to build great situations, to work through friendship, you know, breakdowns, to work through relationship hardship. And then when you get on the other side of that hardship, you get the reward of a deeper level of intimacy that nobody else can even afford to have because they didn't go through it. Same thing with whatever goals we want to achieve, right? We can't even, like, there's a whole other level of gratification that we get to feel when we've been through some stuff, when you've had to put your hands in the mud and work to get that plant to come up and grow and flower and blossom and become more. When you took the time to water it and put your attention on it, when you watered your goals with your attention, and you took steps every day and you dealt with the setbacks, and then you finally get there, there is a level of gratification that you get to experience that most people don't, because they don't take the time to operate in delayed gratification. Okay, let's see. I'm going to be getting out of here soon. I hope you guys have been getting some great value from today's talk. Sometimes I don't know in what way it's going to come out. I don't know what stories or things I'm going to end up calling on in order to drive a message home, or hopefully drive a message home. I don't know if I'm too intense for some of you guys. Sometimes work with your girl. There's so much, like, I have this thing in me that's going like this right now. You know, it's just working in me like that. So bear with me. Okay. What if I worked hard for something and was patient and waited, And when you were patient and waited, and when you were denied, you worked and pushed even harder and still was denied. What do you do? I'm sorry, sweetie. Hold on. What do you do to get past the anger, hurt, defeat, and move on to something else? Well, let's talk about this. Is this your passion? Is it something you really, really, really want? How bad do you want it? Sometimes, goals might happen for us in 2 months. Sometimes a goal might happen in 2 years. Sometimes it may take 20 years. How bad do you want it? And remembering that, gosh, this is such a cliche statement, right, guys? Because we hear it all the time. But because the reason it's so cliche, whenever we hear stuff over and over and over again, is because it's true. We got to enjoy the journey. It is not about the destination. Yes, we're letting the destination be a carrot. It's a beacon of light for us. But we can't allow that to be the determinant of whether we experience happiness in the now. Because who's to say you're going to get to tomorrow? I mean, we want to, right? But there's no guarantee that you're going to get there. We don't know. So how can we think about life? How can we keep adding value to our experiences that enables us to enjoy the now? There are goals that I still have. They have not happened yet. I've been working on some goals for some years now. It hasn't happened yet. But some way, somehow, I'm still finding ways to add value to my experience as I move along the path. And I'm stretching into what I hope is a greater human being because of it. And so that I don't let the goal define me. I want it. But I don't want to afford to let the goal define me. Does that make sense? Keep talking to me if I'm not speaking to what you're talking about. Rona, can you please sing a little? It's not necessarily, I don't even remember. Wow, the Shaka Khan. That's funny. I did this song on, I used to be a Mouseketeer, for those of you who don't know. And James was a fan of the Mickey Mouse Club. And I sang this song by Shaka Khan, Love You All My Lifetime, back in 1992. That's kind of funny. Thanks for the memory. Okay, this is spot on. Don't let the goal define me. Hello, baby. Because the second we let the goal define us, then we do base our happiness on that. And that can be a daunting, fleeting thing. Yes, when we get the goal, we're going to celebrate our faces off. But in the meantime, how can I keep adding value to who I currently am? How can I keep finding a way to enjoy right where I am? How can I find a way to let whatever is not happening for me right now keep teaching me something that is trying to continue being defined and refined? Where's the growth in why it's not happening right now? And as much as we want some stuff right now, maybe it's really not in our best interest to have it right now. Maybe there are a few more things that we could stand to gather that will put us in a better receiving position and maintaining position before we receive that goal. Dig into the why. What else could this mean? Always a great question to ask yourself about anything. What else could this mean? Okay, let's see. How do we continue to add value now and enjoy right now? Keep stretching. Find things to allow yourself to be passionate about life, what I was speaking about earlier and keep speaking about through this conversation. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Don't be so afraid of rejection that you don't allow yourself to live fully and to go after stuff. Surround yourself with other champions so it inspires you to desire more, to be more, to think and do more. You know the saying in the Bible where, God gives you one thing. He wants you to multiply. Go out and multiply. What would bring you joy to multiply with? How can you keep growing and stretching and expanding into a greater version of yourself? What books can you read? What seminars can you go to? Where can you fly to in the country? Just plan to do something different. Go somewhere different. Do something you wouldn't have expected you would do. Connect with people you wouldn't have expected to connect with. Forgive people you wouldn't have thought to forgive. Live fully as best you possibly can. And in some way and somehow within all of that living, you're going to find little pockets of joy, and you're going to keep finding little ways that you can add something to life and add value to yourself. I think. Okay, let's see. Yes, you guys are talking. I love it. I noticed through your life is going a direction you never saw coming. Hey, Monica, enjoy the journey, right? Because some of this stuff hits you, you're like, oh, snap, I'm going here. I thought I was going there. And especially as you decide to go after stuff, you never know how the Most High is going to get you there. May take you around the corner and back. May take you through a life lesson you didn't anticipate you were going to go through. May put you on your knees first. Put me on my knees. I was crying, snotting, hurt, angry, questioning, confused. And then I was like, wow, I'm so glad I went through that. Wow. I needed that. I needed that. Some of us need to get tougher. You know? Let's see. You struggle with being vulnerable. A lot of us struggle with being vulnerable. It's okay. It isn't a goal related to my purpose. Just trying to right a wrong against me from a merchant dispute. I guess I should move on because it doesn't have anything to do with the major goals of my life. I mean, yeah, if it's taking away from your joy on that level, yeah, maybe reevaluate, reprioritize it, and start to work on it in the intangible. A lot of us are so busy working what we see that we forget that a lot of the things that manifest themselves come from the intangible, the things we can't touch first. So developing the ability, we were talking about visualization earlier, we talk about prayer, we talk about affirmations. All of these things are intangible tools to get us to where we want to go. And, just thought of this, vibrational living. Sometimes we're not going to change the result of something living in a certain vibration of being. If you're always negative, don't expect too many positive results from other areas of life. You get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the times, there's a great quote out there by a guy named T. Harv Eker. My students know this. How you do anything is how you do everything. Think about that. If you are normally late over here, you're probably normally late over there. If you normally procrastinate over here, you're probably procrastinating over there in your life. If you normally are a spendthrift, if you wasteful over here, you're probably wasteful over in this area of your life. So if you are normally negative over here and you're entertaining the energy of gossip, judgment, low vibrational thinking, negative people, toxic situations on a regular basis, more than likely you're going to get results like that in other areas of your life. I'm not saying that this is you, Brand. I'm just saying vibrational living is also a way that we can make changes to what we want to see in the tangible. Because sometimes we might have exhausted our supply in the tangible, what we can feel. You can only do so much. We can only push people to, respond the way we want them to respond. So then it may be necessary to do some work on the inside. A lot of the times it's necessary for us to do work on the inside. And then let how you're lifting in vibrational living, if you resonate more in joy, if you resonate more in peace, that more experiences can come to you that are along those same lines. And you start looking at life differently. The things that you allow to be important probably start to shift and not be so important. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, what angers us now, the more that we continue to shift our perspective on it and we start living at another vibrational level, we start to shift what we think about it. It starts to become less important. Then all of a sudden, either you don't even want that thing anymore, or it ends up coming to you when you least expected it because you're not even worried about it like that anymore. Like, I remember I was pissed. I was pissed about the way that the airline treated us. I mean, it was so whack, y'all. It was so whack. I was like, really? And I dealt with it in the tangible. I dealt with it in the tangible. And then I was, like, y'all are bogus for this, basically. And eventually, I didn't want it to take away from my peace anymore. I was like, this is not, I'm only going to sit in this energy for so long. And then I gotta move. I gotta move. It's just not serving me. And it's taking away from my overall joy. It's taking away from my overall peace. The second I let that go, I got a phone call. Eventually, not that day, but eventually I got a phone call saying that they were going to give me some type of compensation. I wasn't even expecting compensation. But I said, oh, it wasn't all of what I probably could have received in compensation, but I truly just let it transition out. I said, I'm not going to allow it to be that deep. I'm not. And then I got a buffer sent in. Whatever the universe felt was probably, in alignment with what needed to happen to kind of neutralize the situation. And then just trust in the process about that. And for all I know, I'll still receive some benefits from that. Maybe not even directly connected to that, but in another way in life, what I learned from it, whatever it is, just keep looking for the what else could this mean. And then remember to reprioritize people and things that are taking your joy and peace. Is it really worth it? And if you find that it's worth it, get clear on what your why is. If you find it is not important, get clear on what your why is. Because a lot of times when people just focus in on something and we say, is this really worth it? And we start to get clear about that, you deprioritize it, all of a sudden it's not a thing anymore. It's not a thing anymore. Okay, let's see. Somebody said, I'll see at the bottom, somebody said, you get pissed? Yes, I'm human. Welcome to the conversation, everybody. Okay, Priska says, Coach Ro, you're hitting everything I need right now. Thank you. I love this. Prayed for something like this earlier this morning. Blessed up, baby. So glad. I need to change one of my affirmations. We must discuss that. Okay, Monica, I got your back, baby. Elaborate on vibrational living. I hope I did for you. You better teach somebody something. Hey, Leland. Hey, brother. Rona, what did you think? Okay. Okay, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Does anybody have any questions of me before I get out of here? Shout out to Vibrational Living. As we keep changing on the inside, then our outside circumstances can conform to those changes that we're making on the inside. Shout out to Delayed Gratification, having a vision that is strong enough that tells you to take action in spite of what you're feeling in the moment. Don't wait to feel like doing something. Start doing it and then let feeling like it catch up to you. You know how many times, I know I've told you guys this before. I don't feel like working out, but before I can think twice about staying at home, I'm in the car, I'll be tired, I laugh at myself. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait to feel like it. Because if we wait to feel like it, we will not take action. A lot of the times, if you don't feel like doing something, if you don't force yourself to do it, if you're not relentless about getting to that bigger goal, if you're not relentless about chipping away at your goals, you're not going to do it. Don't wait to feel like it. Do it anyway. And then the feeling like it will catch up with you. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for adding to the conversation. If I missed anybody's question or comment, I will be going back through this thread at some point, and I will do my best to communicate with you. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions of me, if you have any comments for me, if you have any feedback for me, which I will really appreciate, good, bad, or indifferent, send it my way, because I'm looking to improve all the time too. I want to be more effective in my ability to communicate and get points across, and whatever the case may be. And also, if you want to discuss something in particular for one of the morning talks with Ro, holla at your girl. Let me know what's up. Okay, everybody. I'm so glad that this was helpful to you guys. And have a great Monday. Have a kick butt week. And I will talk to you soon. All the best.